Yo, what's up guys, it's Spectrum Movies back with a brand new video review. This time we're going to be taking a look at, well, not really a look per se, but we're going to be doing a movie review on Man of Steel. Now, before I get into the actual review, I just wanted to say that, you know, Brightburn, Man of Steel, kind of makes sense, right? So, also... okay, so let's just get into it then. The beginning of this movie starts off on Krypton, you know, the final days of Krypton or whatever, and it shows the conflict between the fellow residents of the planet and the differing ideals between New Age / Old Age policies and stuff like that between General Zod and you know, Jor-El and all the people and stuff like that. You know, and the world itself is just, you know, it's very nicely crafted. It's built from the ground up. It's all explained in the special features disc with the Steelbook edition of Man of Steel. You know how they built it from the ground up to make it feel like a real world, like to make it feel how it would if it were a real place, and that's really nice. Shows how dedicated Zach was to this project and stuff like that. You know, we get, you know, Kal-El's parents saying their goodbyes to their son, even though Jor-El reappears throughout the film, you know, which is nice. It's sort of like a father-son bonding plot thread, which is very nicely woven into the film. And then, you know, so that's nice and all. But the one thing about the Krypton scene is, like, I never really got that from watching it until I watched the special features, that that's what it was supposed to get across to us viewers. So, like, you know, in terms of in terms of that getting across to me, I had to watch the special features for that. So it might, I don't know, it's like it's sort of like an implied type of thing that we're supposed to, you know, be familiar with Superman's home and stuff like that, which, you know, thinking back on it, it did do that, but, like, at the same time, that's not what was shot into my head when I was watching that scene. It was just like, you know, okay, this is where this is where they send Superman to Earth. You know, that's really what the scene is. That's all it does for me. That's really all it is to the movie, aside from, you know, aside from setting up Zod's motivation, which is probably the best thing that that set piece does for the film, other than sending Superman to Earth. So yeah, and then we cut to you know, Superman bouncing from job to job, Superman being treated sort of poorly by us humans, stuff like that. I'll call him Clark because Superman's not really his name. It's more so like his superhero name, obviously. So we are humanized with Clark. We grow with Clark. We are sort of you know, learning about him and stuff like that. At least his interpretation of Clark, and that's really nice. And yeah, one thing that I really like about this movie is that it does a absolutely great job at humanizing Superman and making us care about him as a character, which I really like. It shows his fundamentals. It shows, you know, stuff like that. Now, in terms of fundamentals, and something that people usually will shoot down about this film is that Superman destroys buildings. So I thought back on this, and it's just like, well, if you met someone who was just as powerful as you, but you two are more powerful than anyone else around you, wouldn't you try to use your surrounding objects to damage / harm this being that you know could potentially destroy your world? Because Earth is Superman's home. It is Clark's home. So it's like, I get it. I mean, if you think about it, Superman can literally look over to any building and he can see the people inside. Like, he has X-ray vision. So I mean, you could potentially assume that there was little to no people in that building, and if there were any people in the building, it was not in the area that Superman was driving Zod into. So there you go. Minimize collateral damage right there. Yeah, the film's biggest flaw is not really a flaw at all. It's more just, you know, Superman's characterization implied, which I like a lot about this film, is that the plot threads aren't really implied. They're more so exposited or whatever. But the characterizations of the characters are more so implied, especially with Superman and stuff like that. One of my biggest complaints about this film is not Amy Adams as Lois, because she's a phenomenal actress and she does fine in the role, she does her job, whatever, but her scenes don't feel out of place. They just feel, I don't know, I want to say maybe a little forced. But it was nice of Zack to tie her into an investigative, like an investigation regarding Kryptonian stuff, to where that ties her into Superman and stuff like that. It's a really smart and ingenious way to do that. Thinking back on it, you know, it's like everything that I don't like about this movie has a purpose, and that's good, you know, because a lot of films, when you don't like things about the film, they don't really have a purpose towards the film at all. Like, everything has a plot, everything connects and stuff like that, but this one does it, not revolutionary or anything, but it's nice to see that someone actually cared about all the plot points in this film, and that they actually wanted them to all make sense whether you liked them or not. The action was fantastic, especially Faora, you know, and I wish we would have gotten more scenes with her, but she was by far the coolest villain in probably any of the DCEU films, honestly. Now that definitely probably the coolest villain. Michael Shannon Zod was phenomenal. You know, he had plenty of great acted moments. He really stuck with the role. It was just, and the fact that his suit was CG and he could, like, you know, just mocap all of that, it was just great, man. Like, that's, you know, it's really awesome. Let me see here. My favorite thing about this film is probably the imagery. The imagery is just phenomenal, especially with Clark Kent and Superman. Like, there are so many good moments, you know, and one of my favorite things about Superman is that he's not all-knowing in this film. He's, you know, he's naive. You can tell in his body language and, like, his personality that he is a naive person. Well, a naive being, I should say. And I really like that. It's like, it's almost an innocence about him, and it's really well acted by Henry Cavill. You know, he had a lot of great scenes in this film. Couple of scenes, not really like terrible or anything, but like a couple of scenes where it's just like, you know, that could have been better. But I mean, what are you gonna do? You know, like, it's a Superman film. We're assuming that this was like his first big project ever. So I mean, for what it is, he did a fantastic job. And yeah. But yeah, I mean, my biggest problems with the film aren't really problems at all. I mean, the big CGI fight, you can complain about that all day long, but, like, you know, this was the first DCEU film, so, like, this is probably the most innocent out of all of them in terms of big CG fights, I would think. When it boils down to it, this movie has a lot of heart, has a lot of emotion. It has its flaws, sure. You know, there are a couple of questionable CG scenes, but, like, rewatching it, it's really hard to catch those scenes. But I'm sitting here looking for them, because, like, I look for questionable CGI all the time in my movies. It's just how I am. And it's really, it might have just been me. You know, they did a lot of good, you know, face capture with just regular cameras while he's flying, like, you know, in the CG backgrounds and a CG suit and stuff like that. CGI enhanced suit, I should say, not just full CG suit, because it's not a full CG suit, but yeah. My favorite moment in this film is probably when Superman destroys the world engine. I know that's not the exact term. They mentioned it in the special features. It slips my mind right now, but when he's just pushing through and his willpower is coming through and he's yelling, you know, in English, it's so good. It's so good. Goosebumps every time. Another one of my favorite scenes is when I think something happens before that to where it sort of weakens him, and then the sun sort of shines on him, and then he reaches up, and then it's like, you know, he embraces the power that the sun gives him, and that's another beautiful shot in the movie. There's a lot of great moments, especially First Flight. You know, everyone likes that scene, so I'm not going to really ramble on about that too much, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else to say. Now, in terms of Superman's setting and like it being dark and stuff like that, well, the Earth is a depressing place, and it's probably more so depressing to an alien who doesn't really know much about the Earth. So in all fairness to Zack Snyder, thanks for the realism. Thank you for the grounded take on Superman, because complain about this all you want, but you got that from the Christopher Nolan trilogy, and you liked it. So hypocrisy. But yeah, final rating of this movie, I'm going to give it a strong 9 out of 10. Highly recommended, especially if you're a Superman fan. And yeah, this is Spectrum Movies, and I'm rolling out. See you guys later. Peace!